everyone. In this video, we are going to begin with the process of asexual reproduction in plants. Generally in plants, asexual reproduction occurs by two processes, apomixis and vegetative propagation. So let's begin with apomixis. So this particular term apomixis is actually derived from Greek word. Okay, in Greek word apo means away from. Apo means away from, or you can simply say without. Okay, and the meaning of this term mixes is mixing of something. Okay, mixing of something. So apomixis means away from, mixing of something. So apomixis is actually a type of asexual reproduction in plants in which a new seed develops from an unfertilized ovule. Okay, unfertilized ovule means we know that inside ovule there is ovum. Okay, inside ovum is present. Ovum is a female gamete. So when this female gamete do not undergo fertilization process by male gamete, which is called pollen grain. Okay, so when this female gamete present inside the ovule do not undergo fertilization process by a male gamete called pollen grain, so and this directly develops into an embryo or into a seed, this process is known as apomixis. In simple terms, you can say it's a process of asexual reproduction in plants in which an embryo forms from an unfertilized ovule. Okay, and we know that when it will be unfertilized ovule, when there is no fertilization taking place. Okay, so you can say a new seed develops or an embryo develops from an unfertilized ovule or without the union of gametes. Without the union of gametes means without the fertilization of gametes. Okay, generally this apomixis process occurs in angiosperms, and when this apomixis process takes place in gymnosperms, it can be called agamospermy. Okay, what it can be called? Agamospermy. Okay, so agamospermy is nothing but apomixis process when it occurs in gymnosperms, and agamospermy in gymnosperms leads to the formation of clonal seeds. Now you have already studied in the previous video the meaning of term clone. We have discussed about clone under asexual reproduction. Okay, for example, when amoeba is there, amoeba undergoes binary fission. So this amoeba, the body of amoeba, unicellular organism amoeba, divides into two cells, two daughter cells. Okay, it produces two new daughter cells, and the entire genetic component of amoeba, okay, the entire genetic component of amoeba passes as it is into the daughter cells. Okay, there is no difference in the genetic composition. That means there is no difference in the DNA sequence, or there is no difference in the genetic composition of the daughter cells from parent. Okay, so these daughter cells are actually called clone of the parent cell. So when we say here clonal seeds means the genetic composition of these seeds are exactly similar to the genetic composition of the ovum or egg cell. Okay, so in detail about apomixis we are going to discuss in chapter 2, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. There we are also going to discuss about polyembryony along with apomixis and three subtypes of apomixis. Now let's begin with vegetative propagation. Vegetative propagation. Okay, so the meaning of this term vegetative is like from any vegetative part of the plant. There are three vegetative parts of the plant: root, stem and leaves. Okay, now whenever a new plant grows from any of these vegetative parts of the plant, it is called vegetative propagation. So vegetative propagation is actually a form of asexual reproduction, because the new plant here is actually growing from the vegetative parts. There is no involvement of the gametes, no involvement of the sex organs of the plants. Hence it is a form of asexual reproduction. Okay, so whenever a new plant grows from the vegetative part of the parent plant, it is called vegetative propagation. So it is actually a form of asexual reproduction in plants in which new plant grows from roots, leaves and stems. Okay, remember root, leaf and stem, these three are the vegetative parts of the plant. Okay, and there is no production of any gamete. Okay, there's no production or there's no involvement of any gamete. Okay, gamete, or you can say seeds or spores. Okay, there's no fertilization process taking place in this process. So no fertilization takes place, no formation of gametes, no formation of seeds or spores. So you can simply define vegetative propagation as a type of asexual reproduction in plants in which a new plant grows from the vegetative parts of the parent plant like roots, stems and leaves. And there is no involvement of gametes, or there is no production of seeds or spores. Okay, and these vegetative, in the process of vegetative propagation, there are certain units or structures present on the parent plant. Okay, and these small units or structures which are present on the parent plant, okay, the small units or structures present on the parent plant and which helps in the process of vegetative propagation, they are known as vegetative propagules. Okay, what they are called? Vegetative propagules. So generally, you know, the axillary birds or the small birds present in the root or the leaf of the plant, which actually helps in vegetative propagation. Okay, so these birds are the example of vegetative propagules. Generally, these vegetative propagules are present on plants in the form of small birds. Okay, so remember, vegetative propagation is the method of asexual reproduction which occurs in plants, and in this method new plant grows from parent plant by using the root, stem or leaves of the parent plant. Okay, these are the vegetative structures or parts of the parent plant. Okay, now first we will look into stem. Okay, stem is actually one of the most important vegetative part of the plant, and from stem we get large number of new plants. Okay, so one of the basic example of stem is runners. Okay, so the runners is actually the modification of stem. The best example of runner is cynodon. Okay, cynodon dactylon. Cynodon dactylon. Okay, the common name of cynodon is doob grass. Okay, the normal grass which we generally use while worshipping gods. Okay, so what happens in the case of runner is, for example, there is a parent plant. Okay, this is parent plant and this is root and this is ground. So a horizontal stem, this is your parent plant. Okay, so a horizontal stem arises from the parent plant and grows along the ground. Okay, and this horizontal stem is having nodes and internodes. Okay, so these are the nodes, and the space between two nodes is known as internodes. Okay, so this stem from the parent plant, which actually grows horizontally along with the ground. Okay, and if the stem comes in contact with ground at any node. Okay, for example, this stem comes in contact with ground here on this particular node. So from this particular node, a new roots will start and new shoot will start developing. Okay, again a new plant will grow. This is ground, this is horizontal stem, these are the nodes. Okay, now for example here again at this particular node, the node came in contact with soil. So now from here root will develop and the shoot will start growing. Okay, so this is actually known as runner. Runner has nodes and internodes in it. Okay, and this runner runs horizontal to the ground. Next is offset. Okay, offset in water hyacinth. Okay, the botanical name of offset is Eichhornia. This is also called commonly terror of Bengal. Actually, this Eichhornia or water hyacinth plant is actually, it was brought into India from some other country. Okay, this plant rapidly does asexual reproduction and increases in the number very fast. Okay, now this offset is nothing but runner, but in case of aquatic plants. So as runner runs horizontal to the ground, similarly, for example, you have water, okay, water body, and in this water body, for example, this water hyacinth plant is there, and these are the roots. So from this water hyacinth plant, again a horizontal branch arises. Okay, and this branch is horizontal to the surface of water. Okay, this branch is horizontal to the surface of water, and it has no internodes and nodes. Actually, one node is present, and on the first node itself, because it comes in contact with water, so from the first node itself, root arises and the leaf-like structure arises. Okay. So now again from this particular plant, another horizontal branch will arise. This horizontal branch runs parallel to the surface of water, and on the first node itself, it comes in contact with water, so the root arises and the leaf like structure of plant develops. Okay. Now remember, the runners, they were actually very thin, and here the offset is generally the bulged structure. It is actually a little swollen compared to the runner. You can make out here in the picture. This is offset and this is quite swollen. Okay. Another modification of stem is potato tuber. Okay, so these are actually the tubers, and they are present in potato. They are also known as eye of the potato. Okay, it can be called eye of potato. Okay, so now what happens is, if you will cut this particular part of potato, okay, and place this particular eye or tuber into under the soil, a new potato plant will grow from this particular tuber. Okay, hence this potato tuber or eye of potato also helps in the growth of new plants. Next modification of stem is rhizome. Okay, rhizomes are present in ginger, okay, and turmeric. You must have seen ginger. For example, this is a piece of ginger. So you must have seen there are some horizontal lines present like this on ginger. Okay, so these lines actually acts as nodes, and when you take a piece of ginger and place it in a moist soil, so from these lines, from this particular area itself, a new root will grow, and from here a new plant will start growing. Okay. Another modification of stem is bulb of onion and garlic. So you must have seen inside the onion, the innermost part, a leaf-like area is present. Okay, a leaf-like covered area is present, and this is called bulb. So when we place this bulb inside the soil, the new plant grows. Bulbil and agave is also the example of stem modification in plants. Next is corms, very important and very simple one. Generally, corms are actually confused with the bulbs of the onion and garlic. But remember, the bulbs of onion and garlic, they are actually present as leaf-like structures, one above the other. Okay, they are present as leaf-like structures, one above the other. Okay, but in case of corms, these corms are solid, fleshy, and scale covered. Okay, the best example of corm is taro root. This is your taro root. In Hindi, in common language, it is also known as arbi. Okay, or the botanical name is colocasia. Colocasia. Okay, so this taro root, everybody must have consumed this in the form of vegetable. So if you cut this taro root, you can see that this taro root is completely solid from inside. Okay, it's solid and fleshy. Okay, whereas the bulb of onion is not solid. It is present as the leaf-like structure, one above the other. Okay, so this corm is also the modification of stem. Apart from taro root, the another example of this corm is gladiolus and crocus. Okay, so this gladiolus and crocus are also actually the two examples of corms. Next modification of stem is sucker. Sucker is similar to the runner. The only difference is runners, for example, this is ground. Okay, this is ground. So runners, they are present above the ground. and they run parallel to the surface of the ground. Okay, but when we talk about these suckers, okay, these suckers are actually present below the ground. Okay, they are present below the ground. For example, these are the roots, and this is a plant. Okay, these are the plants. So the sucker runs below the surface of the soil, below the ground, and it has nodes and internodes. So all those nodes which are in contact with the soil, okay, from every node which is in contact with the soil, adventitious root starts growing, and from this root again the new shoot develops. Okay, so sucker's best example is a flowering plant which is called chrysanthemum. So chrysanthemum is actually an ornamental plant, and this plant grows, it reproduces very fast with the help of sucker. And another common example is mint. Okay, so you can see here in this picture clearly, these are mint leaf. Okay, and here you have nodes. Okay, so you can see small root-like structure present on every node because this sucker was completely present under the soil. Okay, so as this sucker was present under the soil, every node of this horizontal branch or sucker was in contact with the soil. Okay, hence from every node the adventitious roots developed. And if this mint plant was kept under soil for some more time, from every node a new mint plant would have grown. Okay, so sucker is also a modification of stem. Next and the last modification of stem is stolon. Okay, so stolon is actually present in strawberry. One was runner. Okay, one category was runner. In runner, the horizontal branch grows parallel to the ground. Okay, and from nodes, if node comes in contact with the soil, from nodes the root and the plant arises. Okay, another was offset. Offset is same thing like runner but present in aquatic plants. Okay, one was sucker. Okay, sucker is like runner, but runner is present above the ground and sucker is present below the ground or under the soil. Okay, and the last modification similar to them, the last category is stolon. Okay, now what happens in case of stolon is present above the ground. For example, this is the plant and stolon is present above the ground, but it actually forms a loop-like structure. Okay, it forms a big loop-like structure on the ground, and when it falls on the soil, the point at which it falls on the soil, from that particular point the new plant arises and the root develops. Now again a new sucker will grow from here. Okay, and it will fall it will touch the ground at some particular point, and from this point itself adventitious roots will grow and the new plant will develop. So this stolon is most commonly present in strawberry. So this was all about stem. A stem is one of the vegetative part of the plant. Apart from stem, we also have root and leaves. Okay, so let's discuss about root. So vegetative propagation can also take place with the help of root. Okay, the best example of root is sweet potato. The botanical name of sweet potato is Ipomia batatas. Okay, so Ipomia batatas are the botanical name of sweet potato. Now what happens is this sweet potato is actually it has root which is irregular in shape. Okay, for example, this is root and this root is highly irregular in shape. Now this root, they actually have radical buds. Okay, radical buds. Okay, from here the meaning of term radical is root giving or root like. Okay, so when I say radical buds, that means these buds are actually going to give rise to root. Okay, so from these radical buds which are present on the sweet potato, from these radical buds a small root like structure arises. Okay, small root like structure arises. Okay, and these are again adventitious roots. Now as root like structures are present, So from this root-like structure also the new plant will grow, and slowly this root will also develop into sweet potato. Okay, so remember the sweet potatoes are actually highly irregular in shape and they are present under the soil. Now this sweet potato, they have radical buds. The meaning of term radical buds is from these bud radical means root like structures will arise. Okay, root like structures will arise, and from this root like structure arises. Now as root like structure arises, this also gives rise to shoot. Okay, shoot of the plant. So sweet potato is the example where vegetative propagation occurs with the help of root. You can see here this is a sweet potato and these are the adventitious roots growing from the radical buds of the sweet potato. Here also you can make out sweet potato are present. Okay, and there are actually so many adventitious roots growing out of radical buds of the sweet potato. Next is vegetative propagation by leaf. Okay, leaf is also a vegetative part of the plant, and the best example is bryophyllum. So bryophyllum is actually a small potted plant. It can be even grown in the pots, and these leaves of bryophyllum, they actually have adventitious buds. Okay, you can see here this is the leaf of the bryophyllum, and this leaf of bryophyllum, they actually have small adventitious buds present in them. Okay, and from these small adventitious buds a new plant starts growing. Okay, so as you can see in case of bryophyllum, the new plant grows from the adventitious buds which are present on the leaf. Okay, hence we can say in bryophyllum vegetative propagation occurs by the vegetative part of the plant which is called leaf. So we are done with the natural methods of vegetative propagation in plants. Okay, in next video we will discuss about some of the artificial methods of vegetative propagation in plants. Take care till then. Bye bye.